That's right, we're cooking brisket today, or attempting to smoke a real brisket on my Weber kettle. You may be asking yourself, why is Dad dressed like he's ready to go skiing instead of to cook a brisket? Well, it is literally one of the coldest days in Florida. It is windy as heck, and I had to get up at about 5:30 this morning to start this so that we could eat dinner on time. So, to sum up things, we need to go back quite a few hours from now to when Dad woke up and seasoned a brisket and started a grill. So I'll see you back in time. I don't know if I'll hit 88 miles an hour to do it, but I'm gonna try.
This is my brisket. It is a prime brisket I got from my local Sam's Club. It's a pretty good deal, and that's why I decided to try this. I'm not going to go over much on the trim because I am using a method called the Brisket Junior method from Ant's BBQ Cookout. It's a wonderful channel, and he's got a whole thing on how to do this trim. I'll link his video down below. That is a trick that I got from Jirby's BBQ, where you cut a hole in the fat, and it shows you how much fat you have left to cut off, and then that way you can kind of determine how much to cut. Here, I'm just rounding out the brisket. They all say that you don't want sharp edges because they kind of catch and burn. But the nice thing about this little Brisket Junior method from Ant's BBQ is you get a bunch of extra meat that you can cook later in different methods. This is a little $12 knife I got on Amazon for doing this butchering, and man, it worked great. I'll link it in the description. For the rub, I am doing what's called Jirby style. It's from another fantastic barbecue channel. We'll go over all these barbecue channels where I got this information from a little bit later, but it is basically just salt, pepper, and Lowry's seasoning salt. Now, be careful. Don't add as much salt and Lowry's as I did, because, spoiler alert, it was a little salty at the end. Now, pat it in. Do not rub it in. You just kind of press it in. That's very important, because otherwise you will mess up your bark. I forgot to use a binder on the other side, so I thought it'd be a good experiment to see if there was any difference, and I decided to go with mustard on the other side. And same thing, just season again, but kind of go a little bit lighter with the salt and the Lowry's than I did. And don't forget the sides. Rookie mistake, to quote Chuds BBQ. We are going to use my Weber kettle and my Slow and Sear. Fantastic accessory. I have a review of it. I'll link it below. Pile yourself a few coals. Get them lit any way you want. You just want a little handful of coals on the side. This is going to start your fire to burn across. Throw some wood underneath. This is a black belt tip from Soo BBQ. That way it kind of smolders throughout the whole cook. And then just cover everything with fresh charcoal. This is going to get you through pretty much your whole cook. Add some wood on top to get the smoke going. Put your grate down, and you are ready to cook. We are going to cook this at 225 to 275 for however long it takes. Once it's ready to go, set your brisket off to the side. This is another black belt tip. Add a chunk of wood underneath there, and it's going to stop the liquids from pooling and ruining your bark. The last thing you need to do with the Slow and Sear is fill the water channel and use boiling water so you don't warp your Slow and Sear like I did.
We are back. It is now, but it was then. But when will then be now? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. This is my little wireless barbecue thermometer. This is one I like to use for the longer cooks. It works really well, has a big battery. And this is telling me that we are currently at 232 degrees outside. We are about maybe an hour into it, and things seem to be going well. This is probably the best temperature management I've ever done on my kettle. Might be because it's 12 degrees outside. It's not actually 12 degrees. It's just really cold in Florida. Now, heads up, Dad is not a barbecue master by any stretch of the means. I am a novice. I am learning and doing my best. Now, I have gone to the finest barbecue YouTube universities, meaning I watched a lot of barbecue videos. Some of the techniques that I am using are from Scientist BBQ, Soo, who is a world-class champion, Chuds BBQ. There is some stuff that I got from Ant's BBQ Cookout, and actually that's where I got the trimming from and a bunch of the stuff that I'm doing today. It's a smaller barbecue channel, but it's fantastic. I suggest you go check it out. using some Jirby's BBQ methods. That is the rub that I'm using on there, and he is one of the owners of Goldies BBQ, which is the #1 barbecue in Texas for Texas Monthly. That's a big deal. The thing about barbecue is there's not much to do after you really get it on. If you've done it right, I just have to make sure that my temperatures are good. And the hardest thing for me is going to be cooking to tenderness, not to temp or time. I'm a like to follow a recipe guy. You do this, you do this, you do that. But in barbecue, it's kind of like you do this till this looks this way, and then you do that until this feels this way and squishes that way. So that's gonna be a thing for me to get used to. I guess I will check in with you guys periodically over this cook and see how it comes out. I'm also gonna make Brazilian cheese breads, which is legitimately the easiest bread you can make, and it's super delicious. I might as well throw it in the video. See you in probably 2 more hours.
For your information, I am keeping the bottom vent completely open and the top vent just slightly open to maintain temps.
We are about 3 hours in. The bark's looking okay. There's that section at the top that doesn't look so great. Poked it, seems a little squishy. From everything I've watched, we need to go to about 5 hours really before we can start the wrap process and the bark is set. I want that top bark, which is still a little bit wet, to get a little drier. I didn't do any spritzing, nothing looked burnt or crispy, but so far the pit has been rocking between 225 and 265, pretty consistent. I go out there and I tippy tap every once in a while, but pretty good with the slow and sear. That's been going well. I added a little more charcoal, a little bit more wood here, and we will check it every hour until we feel like that bark has set and we can wrap. This isn't going too bad. I think we're gonna let it go for the 1 more hour, so we're at 5 hours. But you know what, let me temp it. I'm interested. I know you're not supposed to cook to temperature, but I'm just interested to see if we hit that 165 yet, which is the stall. All right, we are definitely, seems like, in the stall. So we could probably wrap it right now and be okay. The point is probing pretty tender for as short as this cook has been so far, and we haven't wrapped yet. The lean is definitely not as tender, so I think I'm gonna check this in a half hour and we might be ready to wrap.
For the wrap, we are gonna go with the tinfoil. This is the tried and true method. A lot of barbecue channels use this, but I am adding some Wagyu beef tallow. I first saw this on the Mad Scientist BBQ channel, and it looked like it added a bunch of moisture to the brisket, so I wanted to give that a try. Once it's wrapped up nice and tight, back on the pit. According to Harry Soo, we are supposed to be trying for putting the probe into a jar of creamy peanut butter.
That's done. That was about an hour and a half wrapped, and I feel like that's done. I feel no resistance. This is good, so I'll get a nice long rest before dinner. That wasn't that bad, I think, as long as it tastes good later.
For the wrap, I went with the towel in a cooler method.
The brisket is resting. I've got about 3 hours till dinner time. It probed so tender. I have high hopes for this. I'm hoping I finally made a good brisket. I've only cooked like 2 other briskets before. They were okay, but I think this one might be good. And that would be nice. Got to make the sides, got to get everything ready to go for dinner. But I'm excited. That is promise. It's promising. Let's make the sides.
This cheese bread is super easy to make. I'm just using the instructions off the back of this package. The only deviation from the recipe I made is I doubled the cheese to a cup of cheese. I mean, more cheese is always better, right? The recipe is super simple. Take all the ingredients: egg, flour, salt, oil, cheese, milk. Throw them in a blender. Blend them on high, scrape it down, get all the bits off the side, blend it again, and then pour them into a greased muffin tin. Try to be more careful than Dad was. Bake them in a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. And when you are done, you will have the cheesiest, pillowiest, best thing ever.
It's dinner time. This is where we find out if all of this time and all of this effort was worth it, or did Dad mess up a brisket? Let's go get it from the cooler. Still warm. Check it for jiggle. It jiggles. Okay, I got a smoke ring. So the point looks insanely tender, like so tender. Let me give this a little taste. Might be a little heavy on the salt, but it's okay.
Hi.
Let's see if the kiddo, get rid of some of that fat, a little too much fat there. Fat's well rendered. Go ahead and give it a try.
I feel like I'm gonna rest of it.
You want the rest of it? So yeah, the point, super tender. The lean got dried out a little bit on me. I'll need to do some work on that if I do another one. I don't know if I'll do another brisket. I will cook those other baby briskets that I have, but I'm gonna cook them on my Ninja Smoke Fire Grill. These are addicting.
They're so good.
They're like pillowy, cheesy, delicious. She's gonna steal the last piece of Brazilian cheese bread that I have there. I'm gonna get this ready for serving because I have my dad coming over for dinner and we are just about ready to eat. Dad may have a pretty good brisket, but not a perfect brisket.
It is really good.
But
Dad doesn't do nachos, so that's it.
bye.